So to moving on from the topic of co-located culture, I think when we look back over the last 18 months, it's fair to say we've made super progress in terms of well-being. And the question of today is really balancing well-being with well-doing. And how do we get that sustainable level of the continuity of individualization of work with the demands that are placed upon us by our customers or organizations and indeed teams. And to explore this topic, I'm really excited to be joined by the one and only Claude Silver. Claude Silver is the Chief Heart Officer at Vayner Media. This is Gary V's media company headquartered in New York with over 800 employees around the world. When describing this function and Claude, Gary described this as being, without question, the biggest variable to our success. Claude, you're very welcome.
Thank you so much. It's wonderful to be here and incredible to hear Sarah just then.
Yeah, it's a super story, the fastest growing technology company ever in Europe. And it's been a phenomenal journey and a lot more to go. She's giving me a hard time. I know we're a bit delayed today, that we should.
I think you might be muted.
We definitely should have used our platform, huh? Claude, thanks for your patience today. First question, what is a Chief Heart Officer and how is it different to a Chief People Officer? And how did your appointment come about?
Yeah, wonderful, wonderful questions. So we'll go with how did my appointment come about, which was the following. I had already been at Vayner for 16 months. I was Gary's first SVP and a female leader at that. And I was running our Unilever account, which was very large at the time. And within about 3 or 4 months of me being at Vayner, he had me go to these other offices and just go check things out, check out the vibe, if you will. And I said, that's cool. I'm happy to do that. I love doing that. But you know, my client is right here in the city. And he said, just go do that thing that you do. And that thing that I do is what I love doing. It's what I've always done, which is really holding space for people, which is leading with heart, an empathetic ear, certainly providing a no judgment zone. And on my year anniversary at Vayner, as I said, I've been there 16 months, but on my year anniversary, I told Gary that I was really not interested in the world of advertising anymore. It just didn't matter to me what color this was, what size this was, but I loved working with the teams. And so he said, what do you want to do? And I said, I only care about people. I only care about the heartbeat of this place. So flash forward and we created this role, the Chief Heart Officer role. It's an extension of him. It is, I am here to scale him. My only job description is to touch every employee and infuse the agency with empathy, in his words. Almost 6 years into the role now, that still is my job description. And so how is it different? You know, I don't come from an HR background. I come from a strategy background. I come from a client service background. So I never wanted to pretend that I was an expert in the world of HR, the science of HR, because I wasn't. First thing I did was I changed the name of the department from HR to people and experience, because that's what common sense dictated to me. We were here to take care of the people and their experience from the minute they send their CV in to every single thing that happens in their last breath and onward. So for me, my role is literally Switzerland. I am here to make sure people are thriving. I am here to help people remove roadblocks, to help them change the story in their head, to get operations together, to, you know, really, my business is the business of people. So anything and everything that comes my way. Now I have authentic HR people on my team. They are fantastic. They scale me. Everything we do is high touch. Every single thing we do is in the, it's not about being right, it's being about better. That's what I can say. It's being about better in the world. And we really, really try to teach people to be the bigger person in every situation that they can be in. So my role is part chief people officer, it's chief culture, it's COO, it's innovation, whatever it takes to literally make sure that that VaynerMedia is the best career decision anyone is making forever.
It's interesting. There's been a long-standing debate around the evolution of the chief people officer role, Claude. And again, one of the questions that has been raised in recent months and probably over the last 2 years has been the gap or lack of board level appointed chief people officers. And quite often, if you're not at the table, you're possibly on the menu. Your role, I heard Gary describe as being the number 2 position in the organization. And he said this: when there's a debate between emotion, internal vibe, as Sarah referenced, and numbers or P&L, that you win 99 times out of 100 versus the CFO. Mm-hmm. How does that function sit within the organization? How do you collaborate with your C-level peers? And what impact does that have on your people and your customers?
Yeah, I mean, as I say to every single person in the organization, I work for them and I work with them. So nice. I am a partner with every single C-level, every leader there. I am there to literally almost be their eyes and ears and help guide them from behind the scenes, what I'm hearing, what someone's going through on their team, how we can further whatnot. So, you know, it's not that it's me versus the CFO. It's the principle that heart and emotion and what our people are going through comes 99% more than the bottom line. Because the bottom line will always be there and we're always trying to grow bottom and top line revenue. But our people, without them and without caring for them in the way in which we do, we're not going to grow at all. We're really not. And we've already seen burnouts happening, and there's also, you know, the great resignation going on and all of that stuff. So if anything, we need to be pouring more authenticity and vulnerability and trust into our people today than ever before. And, you know, a CFO is I would say, generally speaking, in the defense of the company. The wonderful thing about my role, and I will say the wonderful thing about our CFO, is he's also in the offense. We want to be proactive. We don't want to react to things. So he and I work quite closely together.
I thought you said the word partner instead of partner. I think we've christened a new term. I think we've just christened a new term.
I love that. I love that. I did say partner. You're right.
Love it. We've just co-created a new term for HR. It's a partner, a HR business partner.
I love that.
Love it. HR BP. Yeah. Claude, I've got questions here, but can I just tell you, this again is a feeling, given the subject, right? And just what I'm feeling now. A lot of the words, my production team are looking at me going, oh no. A lot of the words you've just used are very emotive words and very powerful when it comes to how others experience you or your colleagues in your presence. And they carry a lot of weight and have significant impact. That said, I heard you speak previously around the definition of colleague, the definition of employee, and even the language we use around that. It's very far from the word human being. And knowing your high touch approach as you describe it to human experience of your people, what are you doing at Vayner that's different to move closer to human experience as opposed to employee experience?
Yeah, you know, I don't know if it's that different than other places, but I do know that it's extremely high touch. I do know that the autonomy that we give people and then the support. So we give autonomy, we don't micromanage, but we give support. We're always there. I always want someone to feel like there is a safety net. I have had many jobs in my life when I didn't feel like there was a safety net. And it's an extremely lonely feeling when you're on hour 10, hour 13, working on a proposal or working on a contract or a PowerPoint, and there's no one else there. You know, there's just a big echo in the room. So the high touch nature is literally myself, my team, our leaders. We do a lot of management training to make sure that people, you know, you said it earlier, like feedback is a gift. We do a lot of feedback training on how to receive, how to ask, how to provide feedback, those types of things, because what you said just a second ago is language is extremely powerful. And it is. So we do a lot of training so that people can feel heard, people can feel like they matter, and people can feel as though they are being set up for success. So with that said, you know, a number of things, whether or not we're looking at, I created something called a holistic wellness wheel about 3 years ago. And in that wellness wheel, it's a human wellness wheel. There's environmental wellness, emotional wellness, financial wellness, family wellness. We try to provide, even virtually, which has been pretty successful, trainings or gatherings that will tick that box. So whether or not you're in America, when you're sitting down with someone who can help you with your 401k, that's really important to someone. You know, providing care packages and extra attention to our working from home, our parents that are working from home, and also homeschooling their kids. You know, those types of things are really important. Making sure that people feel like they have voice. You know, all hands is another thing. We now have something that Sarah mentioned, the all hands, which is so important to hear from the company every single day, 5 days a week at 1:37 p.m. East Coast time. 1:37 for 15 minutes. That's 1:37 to 1:52. We have asked everyone around the globe, if they're not sleeping, to time out, grab a cup of tea, grab your lunch, grab your breakfast, don't have any client meetings, and go to this closed YouTube channel where we are sharing with people entertainment, where we are sharing with people education, academic information. Today I'm hosting our COO, and I'm going to give him kind of like a roast. Gary has interviewed Djokovic and Will.i.am. We've had people internally that have a side hustle that, you know, they make their own hot sauce in their place in Brooklyn, and they come on and talk about it. So something like that brings people together in community to share this wonderful culture that we have. So there's a number of things that we do, but that's one of the things I'm incredibly proud of, because for 15 minutes, we're all gathering together. And that's pretty amazing. We're 1,200 people now, or, you know, since I last sent you that, or whenever that I have to update wherever you got that bio, it's we're 1,200 people around the globe.
Are you?
Yeah.
Wow. This is just a couple of things you mentioned. I have to drill into this for one moment, Claude, if I may. It sounds to me, I'm thinking of the old sporting adage, person first, player second, is what I'm reminded of as you're speaking. And you mentioned the sense of community and belonging that these all hands and these experiential moments create for your people. I get a sense you believe you're better together than apart.
1,000%.
Also, again, to throw a slight contradiction in here, I heard you've been interviewed back in 2019, Claude. I've been trying to get you onto this program for the last 2 years. I've been following you in 2019. And you spoke about some of the challenges of working in an open planned office, that in many ways it was a distraction from individualization or individual work. So I'm keen to know what your view is now, having been distributed for the last 18 months. What is it you hope to reclaim, and what do you hope to be different in the event you do reconvene in the office?
Right. I love that. I love that you grabbed that from 2019, because if you think back to what our worlds were like 2019 and prior in open offices, it was great. It was a cacophony. It was a symphony. It was very difficult to get work done because we were all chatting, or someone was coming over to us, even if we had headphones on and all. It was wonderful, but it was not as efficient as it could be. And now we've seen the exact opposite, where we're all at home, and it sometimes it's too efficient. We can't break away from the laptop, right? We've had to help people with boundaries. So my hope is that we will have, we will have teams come in, team A, team B. We'll figure out the natural flow of that, obviously, as we migrate back into the offices. And we're going to have quiet rooms. We're going to have rooms, we'll have sick rooms, we'll have quiet rooms. We already have our conference rooms mapped out where it's 6 feet apart. Everyone has to sit 6 feet apart. So I really think that the quiet space is going to be very helpful for people, because now we're used to getting a lot done if we need to literally just, block off our calendar. And a lot of us now have, do not book or ask before booking on our calendar. So I think that I would like to, in my very optimistic way, say that we will find a balance between the camaraderie and the jamming with one another and that wonderful socialization that we all miss, and the efficient work time that we've now been able to find in pockets.
A word, again, the heart has come up in several of your answers, and obviously we're talking about this balance between heart, and a word that Gary Vee often uses is hustle. So when you think about the pressures that are upon us right now and all the progress that we've made around well-being, and you spoke about the holistic well-being, what's your concern as demands are compounded now with the kind of growth in the marketplace, and how can we address or redress or balance the heart with the hustle?
Yeah, so interesting. Gary does not use the word hustle anymore.
Does he not?
Probably took it out of his vocabulary, I would say, sometime in 2019. He actually, I think he was in an all hands 2 weeks ago saying that it's nothing he mentions anymore. It was for a time. It was something that he, that was part of his personality and certainly part of his, his vigor. But
why, Claude?
Sorry?
Why?
Why did he remove it? It's not who he is anymore. It's not, he realized that the way he works is the way he works. And just because Julia chooses to get all of her work done in 6 hours so that she can go to dance class, pick her kids up, whatever it is, or I choose to work in 8 hours and then not work on the weekends. Like, that's as long as it gets done. But what he also found is, like, he also needs to find some kind of balance in some way, shape, or form. His work is his hobby. It's his passion. It's his love. He's said many times he's not out playing golf. That's not his deal. He's creating new companies. That's what he wants to do. So just, I think back to the crux of the question, though, in terms of hiring and how are we really, focused on getting the right talent in. I mentioned this years ago. We've removed the need for college education, which is fantastic. And there are certain roles, of course, you need one for, especially if you're in legal and whatnot. But in the front of the house, we've removed that need. During COVID in May of 2020, we created 2 brand new entry-level roles. One is called the creator. One is called the post-creative strategist role. They are essential to who we are in terms of creating brands on social. And so we've done a lot of hiring from the bottoms of the pyramid, which has been terrific. The one question we are not able to answer fully every single day consistently, I would say, is, are we going to allow remote work? That's a different question. And in the States, it's different because you need to have, there's legalities attached to, can you operate in the state of Montana? Can you operate in the state of New York? It's very different. So, sharing the story of who we are, the benefits that we offer, the wellness, the nod to emotional and mental wellness is something that is very important to share now as we go after our candidates, potential candidates in our pipeline. And also, I don't really consider us an agency anymore. I consider us, as cliche as this might sound, we're like an innovation shop, because based on who Gary is in many ways, there's so much that we can do. And we're hiring people who are not coming from the other agencies. They're not coming from Ogilvy or BBH or McGarry Bowen or whatever. They're coming from banking. They're coming from Shopify or Amazon. They're coming because they're 19 years old and they've been hacking Tetris on the side,
Yeah.
Really wild.
It sounds very diverse and very broad, and I think that obviously enriches creativity and innovation in what you described, Claude. It sounds to me that you have immense emotional capital and a great sense of connection and belonging amongst your people, the way you describe it. And in knowing engagement is a contact sport, it's a one-to-one, and again, a high touch approach is needed for it. I've heard some of your people and your team describe you leading with heart and you lighting people up. My question to you, Claude, in knowing that an empty lantern offers no light, who refills your lantern, and what do you do to sustain your emotional commitments to your people?
Fair question. I have a wonderful group of friends, just a core that light me up. I have 2 delicious children. One is
good word.
One is about to be 3, and I just dropped her off at her second day of school today. So you have one, and I have a almost 4-month-old, which is just juicy for me. Gary fills me up. I have mentors that fill me up, and honestly, what I know about myself, even if this is very difficult to attain sometimes, is I need time out. I need to just have nothing if I can do it for 20 to 30 minutes a day, that would be great. So that's how, I'm an ambivert. I'm not an extrovert. I'm not an introvert. At work, I'm very extroverted. I'm very extroverted here. We're chatting. And there comes a time where I just need to put some old, new wave on or whatever, and just chill for a second and remember who I am.
Well said. Well said. You're the first Chief Heart Officer, I believe. Do you have any sense of how many Chief Heart Officers there now are on LinkedIn, Claude?
I don't, but most of the time when people are becoming a Chief Heart Officer or giving themselves that title, they send me a note. So I would say there's 5, but you know what? I could be wrong. There could be 500. There's
134, and I think we're about to see an explosion in the amount of HR business partners. Claude,
I love it.
Claude, you once described the work that you do as being filled with exquisite, dirty work of being human. I'm sure that you've inspired the thousands of HR leaders that have viewed and will view this content. And for that, I want to thank you and wish you every success in the next stage in delivering that exquisite, dirty work to enhance the human experience of our people. We hope to see you in Dublin sometime, Claude, in the near future, and continued success and love to your family.
Thank you, and love to yours. Thank you for everything.
Thank you, Claude. Thank you, Claude.